I have a client, it's a multi-site client, who I went on their first, went to one of their sites, and even though they'd had that certification for a while, I said, I'm sorry, but no, I'm going to have to fail the site. Then I went to another site that was in the same company, and I had to tell them the same thing. And at the first audit, they sort of kind of sat back and they went, we're not quite so happy with the way that that audit went. And then by the time I'd finished the second one, they sort of regrouped and came back and went, you know, she might be onto something. By the time I came back 6 months later to both of those sites, the changes were quite phenomenal, because not only had they addressed the issues that I'd have found, but they had also had a good hard look at the way that their system was set up and how it was managed. And they had actually improved more things than I had found, because when they started looking at it from the same way that I had looked at it, they were able to find that they'd actually had quite a few gaps in it. And while an auditor may not have necessarily picked up on some of these little subtle ins and outs, because of their knowledge of the systems, and they had obviously more time to look at it than I did, they actually found that they were able to address some more systematic issues than what was actually identified on the audit. So I had found 90%, but they found that extra 10% themselves. And so by doing that, they then had a lot more ownership of the changes than the auditor told us we needed to do that.
And I had to do one recently where I had to give a critical non-conformance, which I've only ever done once before in my career, and the company knew that they'd made a significant mistake, but they also knew that they had avoided a recall, they avoided the regulatory authorities coming in and potentially closing them down, and they made sure that they didn't have any sick consumers. And they've already rectified that issue within less than a week. Sure, they didn't like the outcome, but they knew what they avoided by dealing with that issue within 1 week in their own way, without the outcome being imposed on them by an outside organisation. And it really didn't cost them very much money at all.